Donington Park in the sunshine, and do you know what? There are few better riders and nicer people that I would wish to be sat with at Donington Park, but sadly I can't find them. So Bradley Ray,
they're not here, are they?
Moto X Racing Yamaha, mate, World Superbikes. How are you?
Yeah, all good, mate. Yeah, I'm quite enjoying coming to this weekend. It's been sort of not a difficult start to the year, but just going into the process of moving to World Superbikes and changing a lot from moving to BSB. But yeah, we're finding our feet. We're making good progress, and I think this weekend we can definitely maybe make it like a turnaround weekend for me in a championship. I think we can make some good steps this weekend. Understand a lot more about the bike, about the electronics and the setup of that, and then hopefully moving forward we can be a bit more competitive.
Tell me about the process that you've gone through from the start of the season, which only obviously started a little bit later, but you've done a little bit of testing as well. What's the adaptation like from the OMG R1 to the Moto X Racing R1 now? Yeah,
it's funny. I mean, looking at them from the side, they look like identical bikes, but actually they're quite a lot different with the way they're set up. The chassis is quite a lot different. It's braced differently. It's a lot stiffer. So that took a little bit of time to get used to. But yeah, obviously the biggest thing that everyone knows about is the electronics. So I lacked a bit of testing. Obviously missed the first 2 rounds because I'm only doing Europeans. Missed a couple of tests as well. So we started Assen a little bit behind. So I was still sort of in the process of figuring everything out. But we're in a good window at the minute with the electronics, with the chassis. I'm making steps forward and getting closer to the front. The positions are not great from the outside, but the actual time difference from the first position is closing each time we go out, so that's important to me. I thought maybe jumping from Yamaha to Yamaha it might have been an easier process, but it's actually been not difficult, but sort of an eye-opener to see that two bikes that are almost the same feel a lot different. So yeah, it's taken a bit of time, but I'm understanding and changing my riding style quite a lot as well, changing the way I ride and adapting back to the European style tracks.
What's been the biggest thing you've had to change about your style?
I think the braking side of things is where you seem to gain a lot of time in this championship. The electronics are so advanced, the engine braking is so good that you can rely on it quite a lot. So I had to change that quite quickly, the way I attack a corner. And obviously the corner exit is where you gain a lot of time and trust the electronics. So it's quite a lot to get my head around, because my style is more of a fast flowing, let the brake off, turn in, whereas I'm having to adapt a little bit more of an aggressive riding style to make the lap time and to make the positions up. So it's slowly coming, where I'm sort of making steps towards the bike, changing the way I ride to fit the bike, and we're also changing the bike a little bit to fit to me. So we're in the working window now, which is nice.
How difficult is it racing at this level?
Yeah, it's quite difficult. I was saying earlier to someone that if you're in BSB, if you qualified 10th, 11th, you know that by the end of the first couple of laps you can make yourself into 4th, 3rd, and you could start fighting for the podium. But here, everyone's so fast, all the bikes are so quick. They're all factory bikes. Everyone is out there doing 110% every lap. That's what it feels like to me at the minute. Especially the sprint races, it's almost like 10 qualifying laps at the moment for me. So it's the first few laps are very important, and qualifying as well. If you qualify too far back, then that's normally where you end up staying. So it was quite a reference for me at Misano. Once I get into the race, my pace from where I am 12th, 13th up to maybe 6th is almost identical pace-wise, but I'm just not there at the start. And one thing that was nice for myself was Agata actually started the last race, I think, in 13th, and he finished 12th or 11th because he didn't have that gap to get to the front. But he's been qualifying really well this year and been on the front row and been the first 2 rows, and he's been finishing top 6 most races because he's there in that front group, not doing any faster lap times than I am, but he just gets that jump at the start, which enables him to stay there. So for me this weekend, it's going to be important to get good qualifying. If I can be the first 2 or 3 roads, I know it's optimistic, but just need to grit my teeth, do some work in the practices for race pace, but chuck a couple of qualifying tyres in and do the best I can to get as high up on the grid. And I think that will just change the outcome of the race.
I was sort of having a look at the lap times before I came down, and we go back to when we were here at Donington last year on the full circuit, and your front row time was a 28.3. You've got to pedal some. You're going to go a little bit quicker than that this weekend.
Oh, for sure.
Johnny was a 26, I think, here last year.
Yeah, 26.
So the marker between the two is like, and you weren't hanging around last year on the OMG machine, and then now you're looking at what you've got to do now. How does that make you feel when you're looking at the times that they're doing? I know the kit's different, but from you as a rider, you still got to get on and pedal it round and do what you do.
Yeah.
How does your approach change to that?
I think it's just all part of the process. I think you always try and look at, I don't tend to look at sort of the lap time I've done in BSB coming into this weekend. Obviously, we've got new surface this weekend, so it's going to change a lot for everyone. But I just look at the fastest ever time, and then know that we need to be sort of not close to that, but that's sort of the direction we need to be working towards. And yeah, obviously the 26.0 for Johnny last year was incredible, but it's another thing. Like I say, the electronics are so advanced, and the qualifying tyre is so impressive. I mean, I think maybe last year was a little bit different. This year you can actually race the qualifying tyre if you wanted to, so it's not as soft. But that is the biggest difference, I think, between BSB and WorldSBK is the electronics that you can use and trust. It gives you that massive outright 1 lap pace. Helps you during the race to stay more consistent and not use too much tyre. But the actual 1 lap, I think you've got to just trust it 100% for that 1 lap to get you into qualifying. So that's what I'm going to try and do this weekend. Understand it a lot in the practices, and just do my best to make the most out of the 2 tyres I get in qualifying.
In terms of electronics, you're speaking about that, and it's widely known that the biggest difference between the spec Motec that you get at BSB coming into Magneti Marelli at world level, it had infinitely more adjustable, infinitely more rider aids available. Yeah. What's been the biggest difference for you as a rider? Can you explain to me how different the bike is to ride last year versus this year in terms of electronics?
Yeah, no, the electronics last year you'd start with like a base setup in like a race situation. You'd work through the whole weekend, find your base setup, and you'd have on the button maybe plus or minus engine braking. So you could maybe change a little bit of engine braking when the tyre started to go off in the races. But this year you've got the engine braking. Obviously you've got a torque map, anti-wheelie, and traction control. So you've got 4 buttons. Well, you've got 1 button and you've got 4 different settings on your dash. So over the weekend, you find that base setting of where you ideally want to start the race, and then you have each map. So traction, you have +1, you have 0, +1, +2, and then -1, -2. So you have 4 options in traction, 4 options in torque, 4 options in engine brake, 4 options in anti-wheelie. So you've got all of that to almost adjust during the race if you need it. So all through the practices, you have to find the middle ground, the best base setting that you've got, and then you would maybe do a little run on an old tyre. Then you change engine braking and understand what the engine braking does with a used tyre, and then you'd change the torque map as well. So in the races before last year, I'd maybe get to lap 10, 11, think, I might just push the button down for engine braking just to stop me backing in so much, and that was it. Then you just finish the race. But now it's like, right, 2 or 3 laps in, okay, might change the torque map, might change the traction control, and then you'll get to the end of the race, and because you change the traction control, you might be on +1 to make it more intrusive, because you're spinning so much, it's kicking in too much, so it's not allowing you to drive forward. So then you're obviously back to minus on that, and then you might be minus on the torque because it's spinning up too much, and then the engine braking would be similar, backing in too much because the tyres starting to wear, so then you go minus on that. And it's just a lot of little things like that is what...
That sounds a lot, not little.
Yeah.
That sounds an awful lot to deal with as a rider on learning a new bike and almost a new style of riding.
Yeah.
To have to deal with all that side as well. That's
exactly
what
that
fascinates me about
Yeah,
it.
no, it's not as easy as just jumping on it and riding it now. It's a lot of that, and that's why all these boys are so fast and so consistent over a race situation, because they put the work in through the weekend. They've got the maps, they've got the buttons, they know where they need to be. And for me at the start, I'm understanding it more now, but for me at the start, it was understanding, especially the traction control, having enough to not save me, but having enough to ride into it, but not having too much that is holding me back. And when I was on my own for a lot of the time in the first part of the year, I'd go out and do my own thing, and it felt okay. I'd say, oh yeah, the boys, the traction's all right, anti-wheelie's good, blah blah blah. Get into the race situation, I'd come out of a hairpin and just go, whoom, and I'd be like, that's weird. So then we'll speak to the team and they say, oh yeah, traction kicking in too much, or this is kicking in too much. So it's just understanding in yourself the limit you need to be, and the best and ideal situation is to use minimum electronics as you can, because it's not allowing you to drive forward, but you've got to have it there to save the tyre and get you to the end of the race. So there's a lot going on, a lot to change, but yeah, I'm enjoying the learning curve and enjoying sort of the process of understanding it all.
Well, it's going to improve you as a rider anyway, isn't it, in that respect? Because the times that you've ridden the prototypes before, you've in the smaller classes, you've now ridden the Superbike as 2022 British Superbike champion. It's a massive step, but for you, this is the future. This is where it's at. This isn't just a one season thing. So it's so important to learn this year ahead of what might come for next year.
Yeah, definitely. That's it. I mean, this is the next step. This is the next step for me, and hopefully I can stay here and do the rest of my career in World Superbike. So the more I understand and the more I'm able to do early on in my career, especially coming into this team with Moto X and doing the European round, it's given me sort of a little bit of a buffer to take my time a little bit more, to understand the whole championship, to understand the bikes and the way everything works, and the way I go about my weekends, and not feel any pressure with results or what I'm doing. So that's been quite important. I sort of, when I got to Assen, I wanted to really showcase what I was made of, but I got to the end of the weekend and I thought, right, I just need to take a back step from this weekend, not expect too much, take a back step to make 2 steps forward and carry on as I am. So that's what I done after Assen, and I went about the weekends a lot different. Sort of use the sessions a lot better. So would do more runs on used tyres, would do longer runs to understand the electronics when the tyre went off, and all things like that I didn't really do in BSB. I didn't really have to do, because I knew roughly where you'd need to be. I knew the tyres, I knew the tracks, I knew the bike, all things like that. So I've done a lot of work throughout the weekends now, longer runs and a lot more changing with the electronics. When I'm out there, I go up, I go down, I come in and say, right, I've done this on that lap, done that on that lap. Can you check the data, see what it done, see if it changed anything, did it improve the lap time? So for me, it's just, I'm going through a process at the minute of understanding everything. So it's taking a bit of time, and it's all things like this that people don't see on the outside when they're looking in. They think, oh, why ain't he winning? Why ain't he top 5? Or there's a lot more to World Superbikes than just getting on it and winning.
This is why it was important for us to sit and have a chat. It's great to see you, because I have missed you in the BSB paddock, mate. But it's important to tell the story, because I know you see it on social media, and you don't go on social media too much. I know you're not asked about what people say too much, but you read through it. There's a lot of misunderstanding. The same for you, the same for Taz. Like, we're talking to Taz later on. It's like, why have you made this movie? You haven't come into this blind.
No.
There's a full process that you're coming into to do this, and I admire it for both of you, because it would have been easy to stay in BSB and make reasonable money for the next 10 years. But you're still young, ish.
Yeah, I'm getting on now, and I'm getting on now.
Yeah, you're piling it on now, mate. That's it. And as we said before we came on the show, that you're the leanest I've seen you, and I think probably quite the happiest I've seen you
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Matching from BSB. What's been the most entertaining part of being in the World Superbike paddock in the few rounds that you've done?
It's difficult to say. I mean, it's quite a different paddock to BSB. In the way it's all set up, in the way you go about your weekends. I feel like maybe because I'm not winning at the moment, I feel a lot more relaxed over the weekend. The sessions are quite nice. The things you do after the sessions, you don't have too much to do. But yeah, it's a different paddock to be in. But ultimately, it's where I want to be, and it's where I've sort of dreamed of being from a young kid. So a lot of people obviously think, he should have stayed in BSB, he should defend his title, why is he doing Europeans, why is he doing that? But I wouldn't be satisfied now if I was in BSB. I might be winning races, I might be fighting for a championship, but I wouldn't be satisfied because for me I had a chance to go to World Championship and I turned it down, and in a few years' time I'd regret that. So for me it's the perfect time to make the step. If I make the step and in a couple of years' time it doesn't work, I'll move back and I'll be okay. Yeah, I tried and it didn't work, but at least I gave it a chance to try and make something of it. So yeah, it's a different paddock. The whole sort of atmosphere is a little bit different. It's quite nice having quite a few English guys here, so we can go and chill in the motorhomes and have a cup of tea and talk banter. But yeah, it's a little bit different, but I'm enjoying it. The language barrier for me is quite difficult because my team's Italian, so that was another thing I had to get across quite quickly is translating. Normally when I come in I just say it to Dave, my old crew chief. I just say it how it is and he'll change something and we go back out, but now I have to sit down, think, write it down, be more precise about my feedback to the team, and make sure 2 or 3 times that they completely understand what I'm saying and we're working forward. So a lot to take in, but I'm enjoying it. And
you've been working on any hand gestures
like this? Mamma mia! Give me more.
None of this coming in.
No,
it's
little bit,
this,
yeah.
You're getting starting to bring some of this in as well.
Slowly. But they do understand. It's funny because you see it a lot, but they do understand. And I can't speak Italian. My crew chief can speak fairly good English, but my data man can't speak English, not a lot anyway. So it's sort of like a big circular translation at the minute. So the better I get it across, the better the bike's going to be. So it's just taking a bit.
When
of time.
do your Italian lessons start?
Never. I'm not very. I struggle. I just struggle with any sort of language. I think you either got it or you haven't. I think with language, and I don't think I have, unfortunately. But I'll keep trying. Get a word across at some point. Yeah.
What's life like off the track, mate? How's it been?
Oh, good.
Adjusting and
just still at home in Lid. I'm actually me and Taz spent quite a bit of time in Spain the start of this year, and we spent a bit of time in Andorra as well. And we're both got an apartment out in Andorra at the minute, so I go out there after this weekend to sort all the paperwork and bits out and take some bikes and bits over and just sort of suss the place out, because if I'm staying in World Superbikes in the future, then I'd like to be based more in Europe and make it a little bit easier for travelling and a better lifestyle and better training, really, for sure. Obviously, if you're in BSB, then England, you need to be in England, so you're pretty local. But there's a lot of English out in Andorra. There's a lot of cyclists. There's a lot of people out there. So I'd like to try and make the move out there, be more European and do
be more European.
Do something
you being a bit more European.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to be cycling with Alicia Spargaro and all the boys out there soon, aren't you?
Smoke me. But yeah, just
you got to go up
change.
hills and stuff. Think about
but
that.
what
You
goes
be a
up must
climber.
come down. That's the thing.
Yeah, I know, but you're not used to climbing being from Kent.
No, I think I've got a new bike coming on the way, so we'll be all right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What are we going for now? Because
I'm just I done a day the other day at the local bike shop. The new Pinarello F's come out. I done a day riding that and really enjoyed it. So just speaking to them, see if they can get me a deal, because they're quite expensive. So I don't want to.
They are a little.
My wallet needs to stay in my pocket.
Are you moving to Andorra, mate? It's going to be.
Yeah.
It's all paying out by the sounds of it.
No, but we're just ticking along, doing a little bit of a life change and just enjoying it.
You're not growing up, are you? Please
Try
tell
not-
me
try
you're not
not to.
growing old.
I am a little bit, you know. It's weird, isn't it?
I can feel it.
Yeah.
I can feel
But
it.
I think it's for the better. I think it'll be
That
better
happens
for
to
me.
the best of us sometimes.
Yeah, but no, I'm just going with the flow at the minute. Just going
Love
with the
it.
flow.
One last question, mate. When you're sat in the airport at Portugal at the end of the European season, and you look back at what you've achieved,
I'll be at the golf course.
you'd be on the golf course.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to do?
3 days of golf, I think we'll be doing after
You've
that.
already arranged
Oh,
that
yeah.
straight away.
3
All right.
days of golf and beer.
Okay, so when you sat there you stood at the first tee and you're thinking back over the season, what would you like the season to be for you when you look back to be satisfied in what you've achieved?
I think for me the most important thing, obviously championships out the window this year. We're only doing Europeans, so I just want to go to every round and just make that step closer to maybe the top 5. Each round we've gone to, we've been 16th, 15th, and then Misano we're around sort of 12th, 13th, and if we can come to here and maybe sneak a top 10, and then the next round we go to top 8, and just be in that mix. As long as I'm making good steps forward, making progress, closing that gap to the front boys, if we can get to Portimao and make a good show there, then I'll be satisfied. But I just want to get as many points on the board, have a big learning year, understand everything, so then when I come into next year, I've got all that in my locker, and I can just start the season, hit the ground running, and hopefully be a little bit more competitive, which would be nice. So just keep doing what I'm doing, not expect too much, enjoy it. That's the main thing. I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun, and we're just keep doing what we're doing.
Brilliant, mate. We wish you the best of luck for
Thank
the
you very
rest of the
much.
season.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you for sitting down with
no
us.
problem. Pleasure.
And if that doesn't explain to you why Brad made the move that he did, then you may be not following the right sport, because that was brilliant. Thank you so much,
Thank
mate.
you very
Enjoy
much.
the weekend, and
Will
we'll see
do.
you soon.
Yeah, see you soon. Cheers.
A big thanks to Brad for his time. It was so good to see him again. And also thanks to Chiara at MotoX Racing Yamaha for allowing us a little bit longer than usual with the reigning British Superbike champion. Next time out, it's the man who Brad took over from as champion. It's Taron McKenzie. The Petronas MIE Honda racing man tells us all about the switch to World Supersport and how it's going so far. As always, if you've got this far, please drop us a follow on whichever platform you're listening on, and be sure to spread the word wherever you can. Thanks to you all for your awesome support, whether through Patreon, merch, or simply liking and subscribing. It's all really appreciated. So until next time, look after yourselves. Bye-bye.